25.3 is just announced. I know who the new owner of CrossFit is. Just kidding. It was not a repeat. I didn't have this workout on my bingo card, but here's the tips and tricks. 5 wall walks, 50 calorie row, 5 wall walks, 25 deadlifts, 5 wall walk, 25 cleans, 5 wall walk, 25 snatches, 5 wall walk, 50 calorie row. Got a nice little chipper here with some wall walks. A lot of pulling, a lot of low back stuff, making sure you're getting that good and warmed up when you're warming up. We're just talking this out as we go, and as we just watched those guys go through it, crushed it.
Didn't think sub 10 was necessarily going to happen off the bat, but they were just sub 10, right? Barely?
Yeah. No, it wasn't barely. It was like 40 seconds, which is not barely. Good show. Wall walks were, I feel like towards the back half, started to play into it a little bit. Felt like Dallin moved pretty much the whole time, same on the wall walks. Everybody went out a little bit hot on that first row, in my opinion. I will not be going out that hot. 50 calories. If you lose 3 or 4 seconds there, you know, Hopper, I think, was rowing like a 139, I think, when the screen peeped him. So you're looking at a little bit over 500 meters, but you're not going to lose 3 or 4 seconds on that row where you can make up a ton of time on your wall walks if you're fresh, or on your deadlifts, on your cleans and all that. So the row matters at the very end, not so much in the very beginning, unless you go out way too hot. Not saying Hopper did. I mean, he's a hell of a rower. So, but I'm saying if you need to take a little bit slower approach on the row, I think that's what you do. You lose 5 seconds by rowing a 145, but you can make it up in how long it takes you to do your wall walks, or how long your transitions are, or just cycling different movements.
Lots of places to lose time if you go too on the row. Way to think about it, in my mind at least, let's say you're going for the time cap, 20 minutes, come out about your 5K row pace, because that's about 20 minutes. You go a little bit slower in the first few minutes on your 5K row. At the end, you would send it on your 5K row. Same applies to, let's say you're going for 12 minutes. If you know your 3K row, or if, hey, I was going on a 12-minute AMRAP, what's the threshold row pace I could hold? Come out a little bit slower than that on the 50 cal row. Then in the back end, you're going to send it no matter what, but it gives you an idea of how long it's going to take you on each of those row segments there.
If you're that type of person that likes to redo these workouts, I feel like this is actually a really good, easy work, not easy, a workout that you could retest, because there's not going to be a ton of long-lasting effects if you did a Friday to Monday. Low back might be a little bit tender, hamstrings from just pulling from the ground that much, but I feel like this is a pretty good repeatable workout without, you know, like the thruster one for me, that left knee was not repeatable, you know. On the deadlifts, I think about the workout, the 55s chipper. When we tested that, one of the first times we did it, we did 5s, and it was infinitely harder to stay with sets of 5 than it was to get one big chunk out of the way. So I would say, if you can, depending on, you know, what you're shooting for in this workout, me, myself, I'll probably 15-ish, and then maybe hit a 10 or a 16-9, or maybe 3 sets. But if I can get one big chunk out, it's the first pull off the ground that is always the hardest. Not saying that you should slam that barbell off, but you do get a little bit of bounce regardless of if you're doing it within the rules or not on the return on the deadlift.
Agree. Deadlift's the one movement for sure. I say going a little bit bigger sets usually pays off more than almost any other movement, for what Rich said. If you're like a 20-minute person just going time cap, you probably are okay going 5s there. It's way better than going 2s or 3s if you can sustain that without blowing it completely. If you're going 12 to 15 minutes, probably like Rich said, if you're great at deadlift, 2-setter, maybe 3 sets. What's a good set scheme on that? 10-8-7 for 3 sets?
10-8-7 is a good one.
Yeah.
You want to start with a number and a decrease, because if you try to equal it out, say 9-8-8 or something like that, and that's not 15, that'd be 9-8-7. But if you try to like hit equal numbers, then it's a little bit harder if that's a, you know, like if you hit that 9, you're like, oh man, I don't know if I can hit 8 again, or whatever it is. No, it's still
4-setter, 8-7-5-5.
9-8-8 was right. So you want to think about that. Try to hit some type of descending sets in your head for some reason. If that first set is hard, you can fall back on a smaller rep for the next set. Cleans. I would find some plates that don't bounce around and do some singles. We saw Hopper do some touch and go. If you like touch and go, go for it. You are going to need to do some touch and go on the snatches if you're, you know, I'm in the like not necessarily elite anymore, kind of the old washed up range. I'll be singles on the cleans and then try to hit some bigger sets on the snatches, depending on how I feel.
You almost have to be going like sub 11 minutes to make sense to go touch and go and clean, in my opinion.
But even Dallin, I don't think did one touch and go clean.
He didn't do any touch and go cleans?
Go back and
All
watch
singles,
it.
there you go. Don't do touch and go cleans.
Snatches is where you'll make up your time on that. That's where that 9-8-8 or 10-8-7 comes into play. Maybe it's like 10-5 and then you start hitting some singles. If your bar's not bouncing around and doing anything crazy, that's where that kind of comes into play and will help you.
Snatches, what he just said there, or if you want consistent sets, go a little bit further down, like 6-5-4, then 3s and 2s. But here is where you can go a little bit harder on intensity, because after that you're going back to wall walk and then finish on the row. So if you don't got to worry about that next barbell coming after the snatch, obviously have a game plan kind of like where you need to be on the snatches, so you know, hey, I'm getting close to the cap, I got to push a little more than I need to, or if you're in a good zone and you should be consistent on that. With snatches and wall walk, something to think about is maybe like a max rest you're going to have. So like, I know I'm not going to look at that bar or the wall more than 15 seconds between reps.
Or breaths. Think about breaths. Breaths is a good way to do it, especially on wall walks. I feel like wall walks, when you get down there, breath,
if you don't
go.
look up,
breath,
so,
go.
Or 2 or 3 breaths maybe.
Utilize that kind of knee push up. Don't do a strict push up, a traditional push up into that wall walk. Yes. Once you start getting tired, actually from the beginning. I think the wall walk you set a pace and you try to hit that the whole way through. I don't think you're going to make up a ton of time, but you can lose a ton of time on the wall walks.
Stay moving on the wall walks. Pam will give you some real cues there to stay moving on efficiency. And like he said, steady.
Make sure you're right with Jesus for that last calorie row, because you might die.
Man, I hope you get to race some people on that.
I won't be racing anymore.
I want to watch some people race.
I want to go by myself. So
in the corner.
Yeah, let us know how it goes. Let us know tips and tricks. Efficiency, moving that deadlift straight up and down, trying to utilize that bounce within the rules, not bending the arms. Cleans, singles, I think are your best friend. Snatches where you try to maybe put some touch and go together, or singles depending on what the bar's doing. You can do fast singles if your bar's not jumping around and you're not wasting energy on that eccentric. Eccentric is what kills you. And then on that last row, RIP.
Go, go, go. Very repeatable, like Rich said. Start with this one with a plan and work your way backwards, pacing it out. It's one you can try and hit it. If you don't hit it, you can repace it again on Monday. No eccentrics, like he said. Have fun, 25.3, last open.
Over time, these wall walks will add up. Let's be the most efficient we can. If we have trouble starting at the line, it's because we're shortening our body by going into this closed shoulder and arch position. I want you to think about hip to the wall and then head through, so we have a nice long body line. And then I'm going to tuck my rib to keep from sagging. And then I want to push through my upper back muscles and tucking my toes if I have trouble getting to the line. If I am in a flex, it tends to push me away from the wall and arch versus point and toe. When I come back down, I'm going to keep that open shoulder angle so I can reach over that line or on that line to hit the standard. So let's go efficient, breathe through each motion, shake it out, and remember, good, efficient tension will be key to get you through all these wall walks.
What's up, Mayhem family? Sage Bergner here. I'm here to give you guys a few tips and tricks on the barbell cycling portion of 25.3. So looking at this workout right away, I see that it's going to be shoulder intensive and grip intensive. The main thing that you need to know about barbell cycling, it's all about being as efficient as possible and expending the least amount of energy possible, because our heart rates are up, we're tired, our grip is on fire, and so efficiency wins. A few things that we can do to be more efficient with the barbell, first and foremost, is keep your grip loose. This is the beauty of using the hook grip. If I lock those thumbs in, I can keep my hands relatively relaxed, knowing that the hook grip is going to kind of lock that barbell into place. And that way I can relax my hands, relax my arms, which will allow me to use my legs, which are much stronger than using my arms. Your arms are going to be so smoked anyways, so it's a really good chance to not use them. Maybe practice those early arm bends too, because your arms are going to be so smoked. So keeping the grip loose by utilizing that hook grip. The second part in terms of efficiency is making sure that the bar path is perfect. Keeping that bar as close to your body as possible. This is gonna give you free speed, free weightlessness, and free efficiency on the bar. The farther away that bar gets from our body, the less control we have over it and the more taxing it's going to be because it's going to feel heavier. So as you're cycling these cleans, as you're cycling these power snatches, make sure that you're keeping the bar close to your legs on the way up, close to your body on the way up, and then punching straight up overhead. Same thing goes for the way back down, making sure it stays nice and close to you and then stays close to your shins as you hit the ground. Maybe you're doing touch and goes. Hopefully you're doing touch and goes. If you have to do quick singles, just making sure you're bringing the barbell down and staying close to it. Again, efficiency, that's gonna be the key. Usually when we're Olympic lifting, we're trying to stay as tense and tight as possible so that we can have tension and power and force and all those things. When we're lifting heavy weight, these weights are a little bit lighter. So I want you guys to really focus on staying fluid and balanced with your movement. Don't be so tight in your positions that you're exerting extra energy trying to maintain perfect positions. Again, we're all about that energy expenditure and being as efficient with it as possible. So be balanced, be athletic, and be fluid with your barbell cycling. There's nothing that should be rushed or chaotic or tense. It should just be really smooth and really fluid. Trust your programming leading up to the open. We've done a lot of barbell cycling. Now is the time to utilize all of those things that we practice. Good luck, you guys. Hope you have a great last workout of this open. Can't wait to see how you guys do.
Athletes, welcome back. It is 25.3 and we have the tips and tricks for you that we know they helped out last week, and we got the same ones, if not better, this week to help you dominate in your attempts. So Andy's changed a little bit. She looks suspiciously like TJ, but we do have TJ demoing for us today. So we're gonna be going over scaled and foundations versions of 25.3. We're gonna start with our scaled version. We're gonna go through our wall walks. We'll go to the rower, then go through all barbell movements. And then we're gonna go back and we're gonna take a look at our foundations movements. So without further ado, we are going to begin with the wall walk. Now, starting your workout, you're gonna start facing the wall. We do have a couple things marked out here already for you. We have the line that we're using for our RX version. You're not gonna need this for scaled or foundations. What we're looking at is gonna be this line here, which if we measure from the wall to the far side of that tape line, it is gonna be 55 inches. Now, this tape line is required for scaled to be 2 inches wide. So if you don't have 2-inch wide tape, take 1-inch tape and just double it up together, and that's gonna give you the distance that you need, and we're gonna show you why in just a second. We're gonna go 3, 2, 1, and TJ is gonna come to the wall. He's gonna lay down. And to start this movement, TJ has to start with both hands in front of the line. There's no contact with that tape line at all. What he'll do is he'll go ahead and press up, feet go on the wall. He's gonna clearly move both hands behind that tape line, no contact. Now he can move forward, and then he can come back down. Your points of performance for this in terms of what we have working for where we need to have our hands are going to be similar for the wall walk that we do for RX, but our scaled version is going to have no contact in front or behind this line. A couple things that we want to talk about the wall walk itself is that when TJ gets down on the floor, he takes himself, he pushes himself up and feet go onto the wall, stay right there. He's keeping his core engaged. If you banana out and you go loose, it's gonna make this movement really, really difficult. He steps back, still keeping that core engaged, taking baby steps with his hands. He's made clearance, steps forward, and then he can go back down. Do not make the mistake, especially on your last rep, of getting up before you go all the way down to the floor. When athletes get to that 5th rep, they get to this push-up position, so put feet on the wall. TJ's just come back in front of the line. From here, a lot of times athletes will put their feet on and then they'll move forward. That would be a no rep and you'd have to redo the whole thing. So make sure you go completely flat on the floor for your last rep, get that millisecond of rest, and then we can hop up and we are gonna make our way to the rower. Now, with the rower, we do have our 50-calorie row that we have to do. When we're going through this piece, we want to make sure that this is a longer row, so we want to take the time to strap up our feet, make sure that we have the rower set up how we want it to, because if you hop on here and just start to try to move, 50 calories is a really, really long time. So what's going to happen is that if you come in close, I want to show where TJ is set up here with his feet on the foot pad. We have his foot adjusted so that the ball of the foot is on this plastic piece that doesn't move. This is going to allow TJ to come in and still maintain heels in contact with that foot plate in the bottom. If we have this too small, TJ is going to come forward and those heels lift up. When we get into that position, that gives us inefficient leg drive in the beginning of the row. You think about if you were doing a power clean and you were driving all through your toes. We don't do that, so we're not going to do it here with the row. What TJ's going to do is that he's got himself set up. We've got the rower at 0. He's going to go ahead and grab his handles, and he will begin that row. Now you're already out of breath coming off of your wall walks, so just start moving on the rower and try to get your breathing back. You have a ton of work to do after this, so we recommend getting into a moderate pace that you can maintain throughout. Don't try to sprint and be the first person off the rower, because that's probably going to mean you're the last person off the barbell later into the workout. As we go through this, we see that TJ comes in, he drives through his heels, it's legs extended, hips open, and then he finishes with the arm pull, and then he reverses that on the way in. So from the back position, it's arms first, closes those hips, and then closes his legs. The second thing that you may not be thinking about, because here you're only worried about trying to move fast, is that remember your breathing and getting it under control. TJ is going to be taking a breath with every pull of that rower, and what that means is, I said this last time, just like life, when things get hard, breathe out. When we're going on the rower, anybody can come in. Having to pull, that's where we apply the effort. So make sure that you breathe out, get your breath at the back, come in, breathe out, and try to give us a breath with every pull of the rower. TJ's finished his 50 calories. I know that was super, super fast. He's going to unstrap, because now this prepares him to come back to the rower, and he's all ready to get his feet in and then strap back up. And then we're going to move to our wall walks again, which we've demonstrated. He does his 5 wall walks. Then TJ comes to the barbell. Now with the barbell on our scaled versions, men's weights are going to be 135, 95, and 65, and then women's weights are going to be 85, 65, and 45. It is super important in the way that you set this up, because if you don't have the opportunity to do multiple bars, you want to load your lightest weight first. So in TJ's case, as a scaled athlete, we're going to go with 65 on the bar first. We're going to load weight on top of that to get to 95, and then we'll load weight on top of that to get to 135. He is allowed to have people change the weight for him, so make sure that you have that set up, because it's going to save you time not having to mess around with clips or collars and get those bars off, or those plates off. So for our deadlift, TJ is going to go ahead and set up with the barbell. From here, what we're going to do is that the bar starts at mid-shin. He's going to think about driving his feet into the floor and stand, breathing out as he comes up, just the same way that we did on the rower. When he's nice and extended here, he takes a nice deep breath in. He's going to go back down and stand up, breathing out. Good, and give us one more rep. And wonderful. With this, the positioning we want to look at is if TJ goes down to mid-shin for me, we're thinking about eyes stay on a point on the horizon, because it's going to keep his chest in a good position. We keep lats engaged and we keep knuckles down. As TJ comes up slowly, keeping the engagement in the lats and the knuckles down keeps the barbell close for us. When we get lazy on this and we get out of positioning, the bar drifts away from our body and it starts to go towards our toes, which if your back blows up on deadlifts or any pull from the floor, that is exactly the reason why. He's going to give us one more rep here, so go down to mid-shin. In this position, TJ is gripping the floor with his feet, and he's going to drive away with his feet to get that leg drive out of the position. Go ahead and relax for me. A really important thing here that athletes make a mistake on deadlifts, cleaning, snatching, whatever it is, you only think about ripping that bar from the floor, and I want you to envision yourself, and this is going to sound kind of goofy, but you are a rocket. And what I mean by that is your legs are the rocket boosters. When we go through this and we set up, we have to get that drive out of our legs so that whatever we are doing, whether we're stopping here, the legs have provided that drive. If we're going to continue into going into a clean, the rocket boosters or your legs have given you that drive into the bar so that we can make it up to our shoulders. So we've covered the deadlift. Now TJ goes and does his wall walks. Then he comes back And now he's set up for his power cleans. So with power cleans, we're going to go ahead and set up again. He's going to take the bar to mid-shin. From here, he has lowered the weight and we are down to our 95-pound weight. From here, TJ is going to go ahead and clean the bar, receiving in the power position and standing. Good. Take it back down to mid-shin. And again, and cycle a couple reps for us, TJ. Notice that as TJ does this, he's keeping the bar in close proximity to his body. We're making sure that when that bar comes back down, he's absorbing the weight and then going right into his setup position. And go ahead and relax for us. So a couple key tips here, and this is super important. You're going to feel like you need to go unbroken on all these barbell movements. That is not the case. When you get to your barbell, start moving. Whether that's in singles, whether that's in doubles, it's fine. Just start chipping away at your reps. If you start to feel good, like you're starting to recover because you're breathing where we told you to, then you can start to open up with some touch and go sets if it feels appropriate for you. What you don't want to do is dig yourself into a hole where you're going to have to purposely stop for an extended amount of time. So just think forward progress is what we want to maintain throughout here. With the power cleans, the second thing here is that this is denoted that with this clean, we do not want to try to muscle clean this with the barbell, because if TJ brings this bar up and he muscle cleans to his shoulders, he's using a lot of leg power to get that up there. We want to use our legs to our advantage, so when we come down and he goes into his next rep, receiving in the power position saves him some power and strength from his legs so that he can continue on and possibly do 2 to 3 more reps versus having to put the bar down because he's muscling it. So from there, we have covered our power cleans. Now he goes back to the wall walks, and then we're back to the snatches already. That was a fast 5 wall walks. Great job. And now we're on to our snatches. So with our snatches, our width has gone out. And we're going to talk about width really quick on the barbell. So show me where your deadlift width was first. So deadlift width is going to be right outside legs, if not a little bit wider, depending on your preference. Show me where your clean grip is. For TJ, his clean grip is a little bit wider, so now we've gone into a position. Give me a high pull, and let's see what that looks like upper body-wise. You see those forearms are straight up and down, not tilted towards his body. That gives him a good rack position when we're up top, and then come back down. And now let's show where your snatch position is. This snatch position should be at a place that where TJ has that barbell when he's at full extension. Give me a nice little bit of a shrug. It's in his hip crease. We can check this by lifting one knee, and you can see that that barbell is in the correct place. If TJ's hands are too close, so bring them in, go ahead and bring your knees up now. You see how that bar is now making heavy contact with his quads. That's going to loop that bar away from us when we go into our snatches. So now TJ is at his snatch width grip. He sets up at mid-shin. We're going to have those rocket boosters turned on and take the bar straight overhead. And then we come right back down into our next rep. Notice how he's doing a great job, go again, of absorbing the barbell as it comes down. So he gives us a nice little elevation towards the bar and then right into his next rep. And wonderful, and set the bar down. So with this, again, we're at a place where we've done a ton of wall walks, we've done deadlifts, we've done power cleans, and now we're on to our snatches. Do not feel pressured to wait until you can touch and go. Just start working off your reps, because you're chipping away at those, and it's getting you closer and closer to your final set of wall walks and your final set of rowing. When we're on this barbell, we do want to make sure that we do point this out. This is going to apply to scaled and foundation. We have to make sure that we have appropriate spacing for everything. So when we have set up the floor as a whole, we've run through all of this, but we have our rower in this section. We have a 5-foot designation of where we're spacing to where we're working with our barbell. And then within this barbell area, we've got 5 feet from where we're working on our wall walk station. Standards do designate you have to have that 5-foot gapping between. And it makes sense to put our rower on the far end because we're always coming back from the barbell to the wall walks, and then we hit the rower at the end of the workout. Now, when we're done with our last snatch, we go back to our wall walks, we go back to the rower, and for the rower, when you get on it the second time, that is where you are going to dig in and you are going to go as hard as you can. Now, make sure that you conserve your power, because if you watch Fast and the Furious 1, 2, 17, whatever they're up to at this point, you know that if you use that nitrous too soon, you're going to lose the race. So think about gauging yourself and working through your gears, so when you get to the last 10, 15 calories, that's the time you can hit that nitrous button and you can go for it wide open and finish with the strongest score that you possibly can. So that covers everything for scaled. Now we're going to move on to foundations. So for foundations, we're going to go ahead and get our foundations athlete. TJ? All right, TJ is our foundations athlete as well. And something I always like to point out, and this is very, very important to me, just because you're doing foundations or even scaled does not mean it's any less of an effort than what Rich is doing or what Jason Hopper's doing or any of those athletes that you see at the games. You need to come into this with your workout and realize all the work that you've put in over the entire year has led you to this, and you're going to show that off during this time in the open. So with our foundations, what we're going to do is that we're going to go ahead and we're going to change the floor a little bit. So I'm going to take this barbell and we're going to roll it back out of the way. And then we're going to take our rower and we're going to move our rower a little bit forward. And this gives us our 5-foot section that we have for our bear crawl. So what's going to happen with foundations is that TJ is going to start right here for me. And for our foundations workout, when we did scaled and we did RX, we started facing the wall. TJ is going to start facing away from his bear crawl station, which is what we have here. We're going to go 3, 2, 1, go. TJ is going to turn around, hands go on the floor, feet go on the floor, and he's going to start walking his way across the floor until feet clear the far line. And then he stands and he can turn around. That is 1 rep. As we go through this, we have 5 bear crawls we have to complete. He comes across. We'll pretend like this is his 5th rep. He gets done, and then he stands, and then that takes care of what we've got for our wall walks. Now, we're going to go to the rower. Now, with the rower, it's the same points of performance. There's no difference here. We're going to set up our feet the same way. We can set up the damper where we feel like we are the strongest athlete. I know some people say, it's got to be this, it's got to be this. Use what works for you, and you feel like you can get the strongest row out of it. For foundations, we're doing 50 strokes. So every time that he goes back, that's 1. That's 2, that's 3, and that's 50. Once we get 50 strokes, we are done. We can go ahead and come off of the rower. We're going to go back to our bear crawls. Now, he's completed his bear crawls. Now we are going to go into our deadlifts. So for our deadlifts, we have a couple options that we can do here. We can use a barbell. Suggested weight on our foundations for men, it's going to be 95, 65, and 45. For women, it's going to be 75, 55, 35. Keep in mind, this is only a suggestion. In foundations, you're going to make the workout your own and pick the weight that you feel is challenging for you, but still doable for the entire workout. For the purposes of our demonstration, we're going to use a PVC pipe, just like that, like Thor's hammer. I mean, I practiced a couple times, but credit to Jen. Show her over there real quick. You got to. Thank you so much, Jen. All right, so with our PVC pipe, TJ is going to go ahead and set up the same thing that we had here before. He's going to take the PVC pipe down to mid-shin. He's going to stand to full extension, and then back down and stand. Keeping in mind, I said this before, at the top, take a nice deep breath in so that we brace our core, and then we're going to go down to mid-shin and stand, and don't blow out birthday candles like that. Show me a good breath when we go through. Breathe through pursed lips like that. It helps you control the air and keep your core engaged. If you are breathing like you're blowing out birthday candles, like that, you're going to make yourself lightheaded and possibly pass out. So please, please, please. Now, if we need to modify this, foundations does allow for a decreased range of motion. So what we can do is that we can set up plates, we can set up parallettes, whatever we have. TJ is going to go down until he makes contact, and then he can stand. That's going to cover our deadlift for foundations. Now, we're going on to power cleans. For power cleans, we go ahead and have you just step forward for me. For our power clean, it's the same thing here. We've changed our grip for TJ from our deadlift, which is right outside our legs, to a little bit wider. Take it down to mid-shin, and then from here, he's going to go ahead and power clean. Receiving, and then coming back down, and back down to mid-shin, and go. Perfect, and relax. Now, similar to the deadlift, if we want to, we can decrease the range of motion. So TJ can step back into his parallettes. He can do the same thing here. So go down to the parallettes, and go. Wonderful, and one more time. And go. Making sure if you're doing the foundations version of this, you can relax, and you have something set up, make sure you have enough room for your feet if they do move on that power clean. Now the last movement that we have is that we're going to go into our snatches. So TJ moves his hands out wider, and then we're also going to grab a dumbbell. We need a light dumbbell for this one too. So what's going to happen, our first variation is that TJ is going to step forward. He can go full range. So we take it down to mid-shin. He's going to take the PVC pipe overhead, snatch, stand, good, and come back down, and down to mid-shin, and back up. Now we can modify this by stepping back. We're going to take it and decrease the range of motion now. From this one, TJ is going to set up and go. Good, and reset one more. And up and relax. And just like my hammer, yeah, do it. Trained professionals. This is actually a fake dumbbell. Actually, this is the 25. How did you throw this? No. Okay, so the next modification that we can do is that we can do this with a dumbbell. So TJ can step forward. We do have to alternate reps on this, but every rep that we do counts. So he's going to go ahead and go down. He's going to take the dumbbell, snatch it overhead. Good, come back down to the ground and switch. And that would be 2 reps. If we need to modify the range of motion here, what we can do is that we can start at the hang position or around the knee, and then we can go through this piece. So overhead, good, and back down, and switch, and one more. Fantastic, and relax. So after that, TJ is done with the snatches. He does his last set of bear crawls, and then he's going to finish on the row with his 50 strokes. So we have covered everything, and I think that we've done a pretty good job of it. The one thing, and this is the bonus tip, so if you've made it all the way through this, and you haven't made any comments about me wearing a normal size shirt, because this is the only adult size shirt that they will give me, is we are going to talk about one more pro tip in terms of your barbell work. So we're going to go back to our barbell, TJ, because this is something that will be beneficial, specifically for your clean and your snatch. Now, when we're doing weightlifting and we work through the barbell, we will typically see with weightlifting moving our feet from the jumping position to the landing position. So show us 2 reps of a clean, moving your feet and resetting with each rep. And go. Good. He resets his feet. He brings the bar back down. And go. Wonderful. Now he's going to bring his feet in. What we're going to do with this is to increase our cycle time because the weight is manageable for us. We're going to take our feet a little bit wider and get closer to our actual finish position for the clean. Now this does result in a decrease of power because our feet are a little bit wider, but this is going to allow TJ to cycle the bar faster because there's no foot reset in between the snatches or the clean reps that we do. So go ahead and take it down to mid-shin and give me 2 reps in a row. He's going to clean, and he can go right back down without resetting and take the bar down. If you're watching at home, golf clap for TJ. So with this, the nice thing about doing the piece that we just showed you on your barbell cycling is that, yes, you are decreasing power there. So if you were going for a 1 rep max on this, we would encourage you to find your true jumping position. If you don't know what that is, check out Bergener Strength Weightlifting on the Mayhem Athlete app because it will change your life. But we do lose that power by going wider, but what we do increase is our cycle time, which means a faster time on 25.3, which means you beat your best friend in this workout, and then they got to do whatever the penalty is because you smoked them this year. So again, from everybody here, from TJ, from Jen, from Scott behind the camera, because he doesn't get enough credit for everything he does, we want to thank you guys for following along. We are wishing you the highest amount of success for 25.3, and even more than success, we want you to have fun. And we will catch you again next year in 2026. The years are flying by. But good luck, have fun, and we'll see you then.
All right, warm up, cool down, 25.3. Here we go. We'll give about 3 for each. Simple ones. Hip halo. If you're not using this daily, what are you doing? But number 2, something specific from this. We'll get it on, glute bridge. I know it's a classic, but with a little band to get a little more tension and activation. I like thinking about pressing through my midfoot and holding for the 2 to 3 count back down. I'll go 8 there, then we'll go single leg with the hold as well, controlled up, down on each leg. So you go 8 regular, 8 right leg, 8 left leg. That was Primus for all the pulling from the ground. Get our posterior chain turned on and won't hurt for rowing. Next we'll go downward dog here. You're gonna start, you can start the push-ups. You wanna warm that up to help with the wall walk. We'll come back and tap that toe there. You can really push through on each side there to get a little thoracic opener. Switch, and in. And hold. If you find a tight area, you can press into it and work it out a little bit. Hit 8 to 12 of those, toe tapping each side like that. Third one, classic, banded good morning. If you want to get your hinge ready to go, with this workout, tons of hinging, so we'll keep it simple on this. Just find a moderate tension band. Get in that position you're probably going to be when you're pulling from the ground. Maybe not quite feet underneath your hips, but a little bit wider, close to feet underneath your shoulders. Come up and stand here like so. You go 2, 3 sets of 10 like that. A little bit of power on the way up, controlled on the way down, mimicking that hinge position you're gonna do in the middle of the workout. That's warm up, along with some other obviously aerobic, turn it on, build up to weight, more specific movement prep. We'll move into the cool down afterwards. This one for sure, you can easy row. You can get the heart rate back down. If you're sick of rowing, move to that bike, 2-3 minutes. Same thing on the ski. That'll help especially flush with all the wall walks. After that, we're gonna come over here. This one's kind of basic. There's not a ton of eccentric in the workout like we talked about. You're probably still gonna be sore. Upper delts, front, lateral, maybe sore, especially the triceps. We're gonna do some real simple soft tissue with that. And the hamstring, it's really just getting flushed, getting the heart rate back down. Find anything that's especially aggravated or tight. You can use a kettlebell, dumbbell here, heavier, lighter, whatever you want. Work in and out. If you find an area, you can move up and down on that. Also side to side. If I find a little knot right there, work that 30, 60 seconds or so and move up and down that chain there. Even go into your glute if you want to. But probably if you did the workout right, moved well, hamstring's gonna be the most sore on your lower body. From there, you can use a foam roller on that or this. We'll just go classic tricep lacrosse ball. Using lacrosse ball on this one just so you can get targeted areas. A little bit more than that foam roller, which is kind of global on that. Once I find an area, I'm just gonna hunker down there, in and out. You can also contract, relax to go deeper if you like. 1 to 2 minutes each side on the tricep. Same thing for the hamstring. If you're really, really sore for some reason, you can go longer, obviously. Do this at home when you're watching TV at night to try and help flush and get more recovered if you're gonna repeat Monday. Last one is gonna be the banded Samson stretch. This is just gonna help open up those hips. I'm gonna spend a lot of time flexed in this position here where the power cleaning, deadlifting, snatching, also on the rower. So let's get open back up into extension, which can't hurt. We'll put that high hip position around that hip joint. I like to put my foot out a little bit there. Puts me in internal rotation. I'm always really tight and internal. But the big thing is just letting that lean into there with a little bit of tension in the core. So we're not arching. We're gonna keep stacked. Pulse in and out is what I find the most success with. And then I might put that arm overhead, get a little bit extra stretch with that and a little more emphasis coming forward. I'll hold and pulse in and out. Let's go 2 minutes each side on this. Probably feel a lot better standing up, getting full extension if you want to try that. Other than that, make sure you sleep well, eat plenty of carbs, protein, hydrate. Get yourself 48 hours or so. Hit it again if you want.